What's up, fellow modelers? Today we'll be building two gun nose B-25 Mitchels from Revell. These things came out super sweet, and the funny thing about it is I actually built these a long time ago, but never released the video to you guys. So we're going to go back in time and pop these babies open, and I can finally release this video to you. Totally forgot about it, and yeah, so let's just get right into it. These are two great kits from Revell. It has a lot of details, and even though it has raised panel lines, it still offers a lot of awesome features for this kit. In my opinion, the raised detail does not make the model any less cool than any other model out there. So in my book, I don't care. I like the simplified versions of these Revell kits, and that's what I started out on. They're a bit nostalgic, and just they've done really well for my channel as well. You guys like them as well, and so let's just continue on. This build is awesome. If you've ever built the Revell B-25, which is everywhere in stores, you know, you probably heard of this kit. But this one's just a bit different than the main one. It has different decals and a different nose, but it still offers pretty much the same type of interior detailing. So we're going to start off here with the nose gear bay with the whole cockpit in it. And with these big bombers, there's just a lot of interior work that you have to get through before you can even start putting the fuselage together. So it does take a little bit more time just to do all this detail stuff. So with this kit, I thought, and since I'm building two of them, by the way, I thought that I would try to assemble all of this stuff and then paint it afterwards. That could have been a mistake, depending on your preference of how you like to paint and how finagly you kind of want to do things in your model. It might have been easier to paint these separately and not put it all together and then paint it afterwards. But, yeah, well, I honestly just kind of tried something new. Pretty much. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to slap it all together, make sure everything is glued right, and then I'll paint it afterwards. But for the details, the guns are really, really detailed, and also the interior cockpit is really detailed as well. There's no reason why this kit shouldn't be bought or not built because of the lack of detail. I mean, it has a lot of detail, and better than most Revell kits, actually. So this is a nice kit to have. Also, the landing gear is really, really solid on this kit. So I'm just spraying this with some Vallejo primer, and it's pretty much what I do for any interior. I may add a drop of brown, tan, or black in any instance to kind of change up the color just a tad so that it has some difference in the kits. So this one I added a little bit of brown, so it's just a little bit different than my other kits, because they all get this Vallejo primer. Now, I do apologize for the editing on this video, as this was something I actually did a long time ago, and since I found the video, I just had to re-record it, and that's it. Yeah, the editing is very slow, so it's going to take a while to get to the end of this here, but the pictures at the end are literally, these things came out so good, and I'm just really happy with the aluminum finish that I did on one of them, and I'm also really happy with the olive drab finish on the other. And I think that's the coolest part about this kit, is that it offers two different decal versions that are like way different. Sometimes the decal variations are like just different stickers and the plane's actually the same color. But with a lot of these Revell kits, they give you an aluminum finish one or an olive drab one, and I just really like that they gave us that option. Right here, I'm just painting all these panels black. Everything that needed to be black, I just went ahead and took a brush to it. Really slowly and monotonously. Yeah, I apologize for this. I probably could have sped it up on a second edit, but it's pretty satisfying to watch, honestly. It's just taking forever. Honestly, I'm watching this guy. I'm watching this with you, because this was like 3 years ago, maybe, that I built this, and just completely forgot that I even was going to send it to the world. Yeah, I completely forgot. I never did a voiceover for it. And I was like, So anyways, sorry for the slowness, but they turned out really good, so I guess it's worth it. Anyways, the B-25, one of my favorite airplanes. I love this airplane. Every single time we go to Osh and see them, they're just so cool. They're just big dogs in the sky, man. It's just so awesome to see. And there's always a bunch of them, and just a cool airplane, has a cool history, and I'm a really big fan of this aircraft. I like the twin tail. I think that's really unique, and yeah, I'm really fascinated by this aircraft. It just looks so cool and mean and badass, and the interior stuff is super cool. Very nostalgic for me as a aviation enthusiast. Anyways, here I haven't used this technique in a long time, actually, because decals are my best friend, and also 3D decals are my best friend. So this is something I used to do with all my kits. Yeah, this is so funny. I'm just watching this with you guys, basically just reliving this experience here. Yeah, I'm putting some really thick white paint on a Q-tip and just dabbing the instrument panel to where there would be like the whiteness of the instrument panels, and I'm basically like being very careful not to get any on the outside of the lines. It's very, very hard to do this, actually. It's very hard. You just got to make sure you don't get any on the other parts, but it's a really cool thing if you can pull it off and you can get all those white little dots painted on your aircraft without splashing the white paint everywhere. Next, I'm using this wash to just wash everything up after everything was painted. So the white's done, the red's done, the yellow's done, all the goodies are done. I didn't add any wires to the inside of this as there was plenty of detail and it pretty much all gets covered up. So next, I'm just going to give it a nice wash and just slosh it all over. And the interior of these big bombers, they got pretty dirty, I guess. So I really just put some brown on there, and then I washed it with the black after the brown just to give it some deeper accent panel lines and just grooves filled in with more black, and I do this specifically, like I don't let it dry. Like I like it to mix all in if I'm doing the black and brown transition. It just makes a nice dark brown. I feel like the brown is just a little bit light with the Tamiya panel wash. I know that they have a dark brown, but I just add my black to it, and that gives it a nice dark brown finish. So yeah, and if you needed to clean up anything like this, you can just use some mineral spirits, some odorless mineral spirits, and it'll clean it up with a Q-tip. I didn't for this, just because I was really going for a really, really dirty look on the inside of this. Some oil marks, some feet marks, some grub marks, you know, anything that could make this thing look lived in, I pretty much did. So now that the wash is on and partially drying, I guess it's just partially drying, I use a paper towel and just kind of dab up the excess. Where it's too much or too little, it just adds a little bit of texture there, so it looks pretty nice afterwards. Next, I do some silvering techniques, and also I would like to mention that you can place the seats in any position that you want. So if you are a short guy and you want to imagine yourself in this aircraft, you can push that seat all the way up to the stick. And if you're a really tall guy, you can push it all the way back, and you can basically put those seats anywhere in the cockpit. I kind of offset them just to give the appearance that the main pilot was really short and the other pilot was really tall, so just gave it some depth there. Next, I can finally start doing some fuselage stuff, man. This just took forever to do that because of all the detail in the inside of the kit. Now, I already mentioned the raised panel lines. Now, this is not a seller for me. I mean, I love it when, of course, anybody loves it when a model has, recessed panel lines. It's just, it's not a deal breaker for me because, at the end of the day, you still have the shape of the airplane. At the end of the day, you still have a B-25, and that's what really counts for me. So, if somebody makes an easier kit to build and has good detail in the interior, I'm just a fan of just decent detail. It doesn't have to be crazy. Non-finagly parts, like something I don't want to screw with for 5 hours, something that's not going to break, something that's pretty durable, plastic's good, easy to sand. That's just going to win over in my eyes compared to like one of these more aggressive kits that you really have to pay attention, struggle, and It takes you a day to build a cockpit. It's like, dude, I should be putting this cockpit together in less than an hour to be happy, and then move on to the build. So it's just one of those my things, just one of my things. Next, I'm onto the engine here. I'm just painting it with black. This is one of my older techniques. I used to just hand brush the black on. I didn't even use like flat black or anything. I used Vallejo just black, and which kind of is a little bit glossy. So it's like, yeah, it's glossy. I would say that's glossy. Next, I just dry brush it. Also, I would like to say this is your standard Revell engine. They pretty much all look the same, honestly. I think they do have different molds for the engine, but it's very close to the Corsair, to the Hellcat, to the P-47s that I built. It's very close to all those. By the way, you want to go check out those videos. I got a whole bunch of other videos of Revell builds, and really, really good videos there. So, especially the P-47 ones. The P-47s came out really good. I think I like P-47s more than the other ones, but the other ones have like play features and stuff, so they're not as detailed. But yeah, so these engines are very, very similar to the other engines, which it's a very simple engine to just put together, slap on, put the cowling on it, and you're good to go. The guns featured a lot of detail. I actually was surprised by how much detail the guns had. This is a really, really nice kit, and I was really surprised by it when I opened the box. And this turret was pretty easy to put in there, and it also is functional, so it moves around, so you can twist it and turn it any which way you kind of desire. Next, I'm putting the fuselage parts together. Now, one of the key things is that there is a lot of seams to fill on this kit. Not everything lined up perfectly, as you can see there. It wasn't a perfect fit. The wings fit on really good. Actually, the wings were the best part of the kit. Next, I gloss blacked primed all of the B-25s, both of them, and just because I was doing a aluminum finish on one of them, so it needs a nice gloss finish to actually have it a very, very shiny surface. But this is the green one, so I'm doing a light gray, sky gray on the underside, and I'm just this is one of my older techniques where I would go through every panel line, and I would black base first, go through every panel line, and just color inside the lines basically, and try to get some detail there, some depth, some color variation, and really try to model this whole bottom side up. I'm a big fan of this technique. I feel like every single time I build a model, I decide whether I want to do this technique or to go ahead and do something a little bit more technical, like post shade. I just, it always crosses my mind. It's the easiest start just because you're starting with black and then you're going over the colors. It does give it a lot more depth, I think, even with the gloss too, even on the flat surfaces. But honestly, any way you could go about it, you could go about it. It just doesn't even matter. But the modeling does definitely, and mottling definitely stands out. It just gives it a lot of good base and depth. So I went through with a sky gray and colored inside the lines, and then after I was done with the sky gray, gave it a couple nice light coats, and then after that I added a couple drops of white, added some mottling to that. After that I added a few more drops of white, and you can see here it's a very highlighted white on top of that gray, and that just gives it that extra little pop. I feel like because of the raised panel lines, I think that this is a better way to go about doing wings for raised panel lines, is this modeling technique. It makes the raised panel lines like kind of disappear, and I think it really is a good method to make those lines kind of seem like not as big of a deal. Honestly, that's just my take on it. I think it looks really, really nice, and it makes those lines disappear with that modeling because it just kind of blends everything together. Now, I do have to say, I used blue tape on this thing, and you would be surprised at how much it didn't peel off. I actually recorded a section, and I bragged to myself. I was like, yeah, this is what I'm good at. It didn't peel anything off. And sure enough, I had forgotten that it did. It peeled up a whole bunch of tape. I was like, oh yeah, I'm good at peeling tape. I'm a painter for 12 years, and blue tape ain't nothing. And I'd even stick it to my forehead. and it peeled right off. It was so funny to me for me going on about that for like 10 minutes, and sure enough, it peeled right off here in a minute. But we're doing some modeling techniques here on the upper half of this big bird, and I'm just using Vallejo green. Vallejo olive drab to do this part, as I'm just gonna model all the panel lines and just smooth everything out, making sure everything's kind of like uniquely weathered in some type of way around every single panel. This is actually when I first got this airbrush, so there's literally not a lick of paint on this thing, and I use this Grex airbrush for everything I do. Now I know there's better airbrushes out there, but this thing is super durable. It is super clean. It's super nice to have a trigger mechanism on it, and you can do some really high detailed stuff. Now I know it's not a 0.12 millimeter or whatever needle head, but dang, dude, it does work. It does work. It's a nice airbrush, especially for these bigger builds too. I feel like it works very, very good. I think it's 0.5 millimeter, and it works really good for these big builds because you can really lay some paint on and just get it over with. Airbrushing is, I love it. I love airbrushing. I definitely think it's a very technical skill to have. You definitely have to keep up practice on it. I'm sure some of you have heard that that tip is always keep your airbrush out and willing because it can really slow you down. I certainly experience that on my kits. I usually typically slow down on the airbrushing stage because I'm like, what if I screw it up? Or but it doesn't deter me. I got to get these videos out to you guys, so I just send it sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it, even though it's difficult camouflages and stuff like that. But yeah, I do a couple of thin coats after I model it, and that's all it really needs. So here we go. So I was bragging for quite a while about how good I was with this blue tape, and I was like, you can put blue tape on your model, guys. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Everyone cries about it, but yeah, no, painter's tape, cheap, super awesome. Yeah, definitely. It didn't peel up as much as I had actually thought. Well, I thought it didn't peel up at all, but on this side, for whatever reason, that clear coat just didn't cut it. So it just peeled right off. Oof. So you retape the other side with blue tape. That was a joke. Yeah, no, I definitely used Tamiya tape, taped it off, resprayed the gray, did some weathering on it, made sure it matched. Okay, so next I am doing some panel details here. This is the next stage of kind of trying to make those raised panel lines actually seem like they're not raised, and that they're just highlighting the fact that there are, like, I don't know, just different panels. Trying to add some depth to the panels so that the raised panel lines aren't so obvious. But it's a unique, it's something to the eye, some people don't like this, and some people do. I think that it adds depth. I think it separates the panels a little bit, and I just think this is a good technique for olive drab in general. Yeah, just doing this highlighted panels and different colors and shades, and then redoing these panels. It just adds more depth, more paint, more depth to the actual build. So now we're gonna shift on over to the other one here. I know it's kind of hard to follow. That's why I stopped doing two airplanes in one video. This is actually the last one, so you can live on through the last dual build, thing. I'm sure there'll be more, but I paint the whole thing in all Vallejo aluminum colors. Now it's the Air series, so this stuff works really good, actually. It's really, really nice, and the quality of it, I mean, spray it right, it's going to lay down nice and smooth. There is some speckling in it, but it's not crazy bad or anything. The final cut is super, super nice. I'm just spraying the nose here white, as there's some white details on this guy here, and there's also some white details on the other guy, so I'm just doing everything at once. That's like factory modeling for you. And then I just spray that cone some yellow there, and I do have to say, for yellow, I wouldn't use white for yellow. It still doesn't cover as good, so use light pink, and however deep you want the yellow, you can just add a little bit more red or whatever. Not much to the actual the white, but you can add a little bit more red to get some more depth in your yellow. That's tip for the tat there. But next, I'm just using these different types of Vallejo Airs sprays and just going around doing different panels. I think I used duraluminum here. Duraluminum was the shiniest out of all the aluminum finishes, and aluminum was like not the dullest, but not the shiniest either, so it's like right in the middle ground. But yeah, and this decal is a pain in the butt. Honestly, I don't know if I just misplaced it or what, but I finagled with this thing for a while to get it right. So definitely be careful with that one. I didn't even film it because with decals, I just stopped filming because it's just ridiculous. I'll literally sit there for 30 minutes watching myself be off camera, just dink around with something idiotically. And that's what happened here. Remember this? And yeah, not fun. So these decals are going on nice. Revell decals, for whatever reason, have always been my friend. They go on and you can barely see them. Some of the older ones are a little different, but these recent ones from 2012 on up, there's literally no problem. Even if they're yellowed, they don't disintegrate or anything. Like, I've had the best luck with Revell decals. It literally just, they go on really, really nicely. Now I'm pretty sure, I think these props are a little bit backwards. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and enjoy these pictures. We're going to go through a whole bunch of builds this year. I'm so excited. My year starts with Oshkosh and ends in Oshkosh. So here's to another year. This is a blast from the past. Really cool build. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, comment down below. Thank you guys so much. Let's get back to building.